What happens when a mysterious late-night guest at a luxury hotel turns out to be the new owner in disguise? Watch till the end to see how one unforgettable encounter transforms an entire career and a life. The Sterling Heights Hotel in Santa Monica was a masterpiece of opulence. Framed by towering palm trees and crowned with a chandelier that sparkled like the sun, the hotel's marble floors gleamed under the glow of warm, golden lights. On a bustling Friday evening, the lobby pulsed with activity. Bellhops zipped by, guests chattered at the front desk, and suitcases rolled across the glossy floors like clockwork. Rachel adjusted her wrinkled blazer for what felt like the 100th time that day. At 36, she had spent years perfecting the art of handling difficult guests, but this day had tested her limits. 12 hours in, her patience was thinner than tissue paper. At 10 p.m., the heavy glass doors slid open, and in walked a man. He was unremarkable at first glance. Faded jeans, scuffed sneakers, and a hoodie that might have once been black. He carried no luggage, just a worn leather messenger bag slung across his shoulder. Rachel noticed him immediately. Not because he stood out, but because he didn't. He ambled toward the front desk, his calm demeanor clashing with the usual harried energy of late-night arrivals. "Good evening," he said, his voice smooth but unassuming. "I'd like to book a room for the night." Rachel forced a polite smile. She'd dealt with all kinds of people, and something about his appearance screamed hassle. The last-minute guests often came with sob stories or arguments about price. "I'm sorry, sir," she said, fingers clicking across her keyboard as she feigned a check of the system. "We're fully booked tonight." The man tilted his head, his expression unreadable. "Not a single room?" "That's right," Rachel said briskly, motioning toward the lively lobby as if to prove her point. "There's a motel a few blocks down. They might have something more suitable." For a split second, she thought she caught a flicker of amusement in his eyes, but it was gone as quickly as it came. He nodded, thanked her, and turned away without complaint. Rachel watched as he settled into a corner chair instead of heading for the exit. What was he doing? Why wasn't he leaving? His quiet presence irritated her in ways she couldn't explain. She pushed him out of her mind and focused on the remaining guests, but she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. By 11 p.m., the lobby had quieted. Rachel stole glances at the man who hadn't moved from his seat. He wasn't on his phone or reading a magazine. Instead, he observed, his eyes following the bellhops, the cleaning staff, and even Rachel herself. When a young bellhop struggled to balance a towering luggage cart, the man stood and offered assistance. Rachel watched as he adjusted the cart's weight distribution with a few quick motions, earning the bellhop's gratitude. The scene irritated her further. Who did he think he was playing the hero? As the night dragged on, Rachel's exhaustion turned into frustration. By the time the man approached the desk again, she was barely holding it together. "Excuse me," he said, startling her. "I noticed a few guests checked in just now. Are you sure there's no room available?" Rachel stiffened, her patience snapping. "I told you already, we're fully booked." "Understood," he said simply, his faint smile returning. "But if I wanted to book for tomorrow, would there be availability?" Rachel frowned. "Yes, but I don't see how that helps you tonight." "It doesn't," he said simply, his faint smile returning. "Thank you for your time." He stepped back, returning to his seat in the corner, leaving Rachel seething. She dismissed him as a nuisance, unaware that her dismissiveness was being carefully catalogued. The next morning, the staff was called to an unscheduled meeting. Rachel arrived groggy and annoyed. Meetings like these usually meant updates about policies or lectures about performance. She slumped into a chair near the back, scrolling through her phone until the general manager, Mr. Calloway, walked in. But he wasn't alone. Behind him stood the man from last night. Only this time, he was unrecognizable. Gone were the jeans and hoodie. He now wore a tailored suit that fit like a second skin. His composure was no longer an oddity, it was commanding. Rachel's stomach twisted. "Good morning, everyone," Mr. Calloway began, beaming. "I'd like to introduce a very special guest, Mr. Elon Musk, the new owner of Sterling Heights Hotel." The room fell silent. Rachel's heart sank as she replayed the night before. She had sent Elon Musk, the owner, packing to a cheap motel. Elon stepped forward, his voice calm yet authoritative. "I believe in understanding the heart of any business before making changes," he said. Last night, I had the opportunity to see this hotel as a guest. His eyes swept the room, briefly landing on Rachel. Her face burned as he continued, praising the teamwork of the bellhops and the patience of the concierge staff. But, he added, I also saw moments where we can improve, moments that remind us why kindness and attention to detail are so important. Rachel shrank in her chair. He didn't call her out directly, but his words were a mirror she couldn't ignore. After the meeting, Rachel lingered in the conference room, too ashamed to face her colleagues. As she debated leaving, Elon approached her. Rachel, isn't it? He asked, his tone calm but direct. She nodded, unable to meet his gaze. Yes, sir, I'm so sorry about last night. Elon held up a hand. No need to apologize. Just learn from it. His words were simple but carried a weight that settled heavily on her shoulders. For the first time, Rachel saw her role differently, not just as a job, but as an opportunity to impact people's lives. Over the following weeks, Rachel transformed. She greeted every guest warmly, listened instead of jumping to conclusions, and treated her colleagues with newfound respect. Slowly, she noticed the ripple effects. Guests were happier, her team relied on her more, and she found fulfillment in the work she once resented. The story of Elon Musk's visit became a legend among the staff, a reminder that anyone could be watching. For Rachel, it wasn't about fear of being observed. It was about striving to embody the values Elon had subtly instilled in her. Years later, Rachel rose to become the hotel's general manager. She carried Elon's lesson with her. Kindness costs nothing, but can change everything. And every day she ensured that no guest ever felt unwelcome, no matter how they appeared. As Rachel reflected on her journey, she smiled, knowing that one encounter with a stranger had reshaped her life. And every time she passed the corner seat in the lobby, she was reminded of the man who had taught her that appearances can be deceiving, and kindness is priceless. And so, Rachel's life took a turn she never expected. What began as an exhausting night of frustration transformed into the most profound lesson of her career. The man she had judged by appearances turned out to be the driving force that reshaped not just her perspective, but the entire culture of the hotel. Over the following months, Rachel became a cornerstone of excellence at Sterling Heights. Her once jaded demeanor softened into warmth and professionalism, earning her recognition and respect from both colleagues and guests. She realized that every interaction mattered and that even the smallest acts of kindness could ripple outwards, creating waves of positivity. Years later, as Rachel stood proudly as the hotel's manager, a position she never imagined she'd achieve, she often thought back to that night. The man in the hoodie and sneakers wasn't just a guest or a boss in disguise. He was a reminder of how life has a way of teaching us the most important lessons in the most unexpected ways. So remember, never underestimate the value of kindness or the power of your words. You never know who you're speaking to, or how that moment could change your life forever. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more stories that show how small moments can lead to life-changing revelations. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next tale.